such a turning point in my life. The night I acquired a certain item is cemented in my mind only because of how mundane it was. I didn't chance upon a dusty tome buried amidst a mile of moldering books in a university library, nor did I chance upon a madman with a casket of trinkets in a Bangladesh back street. I was sat in my underwear, lit only by the dull blue glow from my computer's monitor, browsing eBay for nothing in particular. The music in my ears fluctuated again, the soulful notes of Toxic by Britney Spears being ebbed away, replaced by the strange, yet familiar concoction of static and oppressive silence. I rolled my eyes and removed my headphones, tapping them against the palm of my hand while muttering half-formed sentences expressing my disdain for ever purchasing them. After a few minutes of tapping, I refused to exercise the demons in my earpieces. I began browsing for a replacement. I then, on the most of unassuming nights, stumbled upon a posting that would have irrevocable implications for me. Wireless headphones. Unwanted presents. Only used once. Bought as a gift for my nephew. Only used once. Given back to me because of talking in them. Guaranteed good condition. No point in letting them go because they're a waste of an overactive imagination. The auction seemed like an amazing deal. Only an hour left. A fraction of the retail price. Paid delivery. I placed the bid and took myself to bed, trusting the late hour to protect me from having my new trinket stolen from me. As it happened, I was right, and they arrived a few days later. That's when things began to happen. As I connected them to my PC, I could feel a strange heaviness in the air, like a charge in the air before a thunderstorm. I dismissed it easily enough. I thought it was simply a symptom of muggy summer air. An hour or so later, permitting things to accrue a decent amount of charge, I placed them on my head and flicked the power switch. I was surprised to find, however, that there was no background static. There was a deep silence. Childish as the notion seemed at the time, it just felt like the silence of a tomb. There was a hint of another sound. The raspy hiss of a whisper on the edge of hearing. I cast it from my mind and tested the sound quality by playing a classical piece. The finale to Swan Lake. To my eternal shame, I felt the flutter of relief as the beautiful notes of Tchaikovsky's ballad cut through the silence. After a few minutes, however, I was pulled away from my reports I was busying myself with when I heard the familiar buzz of static in my ear. Only now with disturbing new sound mixed in. Voices, maybe hundreds, all talking at once in a hoarse, drawn-out whisper. Some were too fast to comprehend, others too slow. Some were in different languages, some in long dead tongues of syllables unpronounceable. I broke out in sweat, eyes wide. I was subject to these voices. The understandable ones, at least. They spoke up to my choice of music, the cut of my new clothes, the reports strewn across my desk. One voice cut through the throng, however. A dirty-sounding, deceased rasp. It said only one thing, but it was enough to make the hairs on the back of my neck rise and my heart pound. It said merely, "It's noticed us." I threw my headphones from my head and tore from the room. As I did, I heard the burst of an oppressive, heavy noise burst from the headphones. A terrifying mix of an air raid siren and the static screech of an untuned radio. It was at this point I decided I needed to be out of the house. I bolted downstairs and leaped the last few. As I fought the tangle of keys that resided on a small table by my living room door, I heard another sound, or more accurately, a lack of it. An oppressive, murky silence that overtook the whole house. Behind me, I heard the rising hum. The TV turned itself on, bathing the room in shifting shadows. From the static of the screen, from the head and the shoulders of a man resolved. The sickening sound of papers and flesh tearing at an arm burst forward, implanting a shifting gray and white hand upon the ground with a curious wet smack. Then came through another with an equally sickening herald. The figure began to flail itself back and forward, batting its head inside the screen until it burst through, the sound of a thick coconut being hit by a truck. Thus freed, its upper half pathetically flailed onto the floor, pulling its remainder of its body through a series of motions and sound that made me sick to my stomach. I felt my legs fail beneath me, slumping to the ground. My car keys pointed forward in a parody of defensive stance. It came towards me, walking on its hands and feet till I could feel it next to my face. A horrid smelling mist, the odor of old books and rotting fish, lurched in my nostrils in a ragged wheeze. I tensed up, waiting to feel jaws in my throat, hands around my neck. Anything. But nothing came. With trembling lips, I managed to force a single question to the strange creature. "Why are you here?" I stammered. I couldn't feel it smiling. "You hurt us," it said in a voice full of malice and pain. "You listen to us. You're doing now." It laughed, a hollow, empty sound. "Lucky you." And then I was alone. I felt the present go. The oppressive static, full of dull silence, stripped away, leaving the usual night of sounds in its wake. I don't know how long I lay there, staring at nothing, before sleep overtook me. When I woke up, I took the headphones and gave it to a charity shop, a symbolic gesture. For now, those terrible specters visit me nightly, their horrid, shifting man at their herald, getting their fun in seeing my human fear. But that brings us to the real reason I'm telling you this story. Be careful when you stare into a screen of static, or hear what a rational man would assume to be interference in your headphones, or even when you're in complete silence. Be careful not to listen too closely, for strange and terrible things lurk in that maelstrom of black and white. Once they find you, you will never, ever be free.